2019 is shaping up to be another fantastic year for gaming, and I thought I'd put together this little video going over the 15 games I am anticipating the most. What is going on, guys? Thor19, the man with the million, back again with another video. And before I hand out my award for Game of the Year when I do that video, I wanted to take a look into the future to talk about 2019 titles. Now, you're looking on screen here at The Last of Us Part 2, and it's not included in my top 15 for a simple reason. You see, I have rules when it comes to this stuff. A game has to be announced for 2019 to be included. So that means you won't see The Last of Us Part 2, you won't see Ghost of Tsushima, you certainly won't see Death Stranding, but it's not just those Sony games. You also won't see Halo Infinite, Cyberpunk 2077, Doom Eternal, and whatever the new Call of Duty is. So that's my one rule. Has to have a year attached to it, and unfortunately, those games don't. But that's okay, because there's a ton of other games to be excited about, and I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. Starting off the list, we have coming in at number 15, Far Cry New Dawn, which was announced a couple weeks ago at the Game Awards. Now, why is it so low considering I love Far Cry 5 so much? Well, I'm not really a fan of them reusing the map or even it being a sequel so soon after Far Cry 5. I don't really want yearly Far Cries. With that said, however, I am a big fan of the franchise. I love Far Cry, and any Far Cry that they do put out is going to make my most anticipated list. So even though I'm not as excited for Far Cry New Dawn as I was for 5, I am excited enough to put it at the very bottom. Hopefully they prove me wrong and it's just as good as Far Cry 5. Coming in at number 14, we have the Dark Pictures Man of Medan. Now, the reason this is even on here in the first place was because I got a PlayStation 4 last year and I played a little game called Until Dawn, and I absolutely loved every single second of that game. And Supermassive Games were the devs behind it, and this is their new experience coming out on Xbox, PS4, and PC. It's kind of an anthology of games with their horror style. So when this was finally announced coming out for 2019, with how much I loved Until Dawn, I'm like, I am on board for this adventure. Coming in at number 13, we have Kingdom Hearts 3, which is coming really soon. I think we have about a month left to wait. I don't really talk much about the Kingdom Hearts series. I am a fan. I played Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, so I'm going to play this one to complete the story, the series, however you want to call it. It looks like it's going to be a fun time. I'm just not really kind of caught up into the whole story the game's got going on with all the different types of Kingdom Hearts games, but I do like the gameplay. And when I was a little bit younger, I really enjoyed Kingdom Hearts 1, so I'm looking forward to finishing off the adventure on, I think, January 29th with Kingdom Hearts 3. Coming in at number 12, we have The Division 2, which is, I believe, launching March 15th. You know what? I enjoyed The Division 1. I really enjoyed my first 30 hours with that game, playing it in 4-player co-op, going through the story, doing everything in that dilapidated New York City. I did have some issues with the game, mainly the Dark Zone and the endgame content, and with Division 2 taking place at a different city, hopefully they learn from their mistakes. I can see myself definitely enjoying the first playthrough like I did with Division 1. Now, when it comes to grinding for endgear stuff and doing the Dark Zone or whatever they have there, I'm not too sure that will be my bag, as I'm not really the one to gear up for endgame encounters. I don't like Destiny and things of that nature, but I am looking forward to playing through the campaign at least one time. That leads us to number 11, Anthem. Yes, a very similar game to Division 2. I played this recently in the closed alpha, which I won't say anything more. I'll just say that I'm looking forward to this game coming out on February 22nd. I've always been a huge fan of BioWare's, love Mass Effect, played Dragon Age Origins, not the biggest fan, but even going back to the, Knights of the Old Republic and Jade Empire, I've enjoyed their titles. So I want that BioWare to return, and mechs flying around, this seems right up my alley. Once again, same problem I have with Division 2. Not sure if I'll play it beyond like the initial playthrough, going through the story, getting the lore, enjoying it with my friends. Anything beyond that is just gravy, but I probably will enjoy my first 30 hours with Anthem. So that's the 5 games on the outside of the top 10. Moving into the top 10, we have Wolfenstein Youngblood. Yeah, this is the game that kind of slipped my memory until I was researching what games are actually coming out next year. And it's at number 10. It should be higher based on the fact that Wolfenstein 2 was my game of the year last year. But BJ Blazkowicz isn't in this new Wolfenstein. This is an offshoot with his 2 daughters 20 years into the future. So even though I'm anticipating it greatly, clearly it's number 10. If this was Wolfenstein 3 or a Wolfenstein game with BJ, this game would be so much more higher. But because it's Wolfenstein, because it's the same developers, it's going to have that great gameplay and probably a pretty decent story, and in co-op, I'm still there for it day one. Moving to number 9, we have another game that's coming out relatively soon. We have Devil May Cry 5 from Capcom. I've always been a big Devil May Cry fan. I played all of them except Devil May Cry 2. I even loved the reboot, DMC, and everything I've seen from this game, all the footage, the demo. This game seems like it's going to be one of the best in the series. And just like most of the other games in this list, is coming out pretty soon. We don't have long to wait for. It's coming out on March 8th. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Seems like it's going to be a fantastic time. That brings us to game number 8, and that is Mortal Kombat 11. Now, we all knew this game was eventually coming. The leaks were talking about how it was going to be hitting in 2019, and it was revealed back at the Game Awards. Just like Far Cry New Dawn, we had a CGI trailer between Scorpion and Raiden fighting, and it looks to be an absolute fantastic experience with a lot of blood, guts, and gore. And you know what? If I had to place my fighting games, like which ones I love the most and rank them, Mortal Kombat is number 1 for me over Street Fighter or Injustice or any other ones you could think of. Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat's at the top. I used to, when I was a kid and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 was in the nearest bowling alley to my house, I would wait for my parents to leave. I would ride my bike up to the bowling alley, take a bunch of quarters from my dad, steal it from him, don't tell him that, and I would just play for an hour every single day and ride home before they even knew what was happening. That's how much I love Mortal Kombat. So I will always be excited for a new entry into the series. Number 7, we have Gears 5. Not Gears of War 5, just Gears 5, as they seem to be changing the title. I'm actually quite excited for this one, considering I'm not the biggest fan of the Gears of War franchise. I enjoyed playing them, but there are other games I would play. And honestly, when I was compiling this list, I originally had it at number 10, but just thinking about the new direction they're taking with Kate being the new main character and how they're supposedly opening up the gameplay a little bit more, I think they're going to really do a lot of risky stuff to change up the formula. It gets me a little bit excited. I want to see a little bit more gameplay and stuff, but for now, Gears 5 comes in at number 7, which brings us to number 6, and that is Control from Remedy. Now, I'm one of the few people out there, or maybe there's more, who loved Quantum Break. I love the time travel story that they told. I'm really disappointed that it seems like we're never going to get a sequel, and then E3 2018 happened, and Control was on screen, and it looked like the sequel to Quantum Break I thought we were never going to get. Beth Wilder, who's a character in Quantum Break, seems to be the main character in Control, even though it's not Beth Wilder, it's some other character, but it basically is the same person, and it just seems like a natural evolution of what they were working with Quantum Break and the time powers with like psychic powers and Control. So I am 100% all in. I love Remedy's games, Alan Wake, Quantum Break, the early Max Paynes, so Control had to be on this list. And I know some people will be like, whoa, above Gears 5? I like Quantum Break more than I like Gears 4, so yes, Control above Gears 5. Coming in at number 5, this is the top 5 games I'm most anticipating next year. We have Rage 2. Now, to think that I would be even anticipating a Rage 2 is weird, right? Because I didn't enjoy Rage 1 that much. And then those leaks from Walmart Canada happened, It was like, Rage 2, who really asked for that? And they dropped the gameplay trailer at E3, another trailer at this Game Awards, and I'm like, I am 100% sold on Rage 2. I want to play this game right now. And it seems to be doing all the stuff Far Cry New Dawn is doing, post-apocalyptic, neon colors. But Rage 2 just seems to have better gameplay, more humor, more focus on like driving and stuff. It just seems like the more well thought out game that's been in years in production, rather than just like a spin-off for quick crash grab, which is what Far Cry New Dawn seems to be. So that's my number 5, Rage 2, which comes out on May 15th. Number 4, we have Metro Exodus. I am a lover of the Metro series. I've replayed Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light 3 or 4 times. I adore those games. I love 4A, and I cannot wait to see how it all comes together in Metro Exodus, which is now launching on February 15th. Man, a lot of these games on this list are coming out so soon. Oh man, January to March is going to be a great time to play some video games, isn't it? So yeah, Metro Exodus, love the story they're telling, love the setting, love the atmosphere. The combat's pretty good too. Can't wait to see how the story kind of comes together. So that's why it's at number 4. Coming in at number 3 is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And you probably are like, wait a minute, what? Yeah, don't forget, this game was announced at E3 2018 during EA's press conference in a sit-down interview between Andrea Renee and I believe I forget the guy's name at the moment, but the CEO of Respawn. Now, Respawn Entertainment's never let me down. I love Titanfall 1. I love Titanfall 2. They crafted one of the best single-player campaigns of this generation in Titanfall 2. And the fact that they're now working on some third-person hack-and-slash Star Wars game, where maybe you are hunting down some Jedis or being a Jedi, I'm not really sure what the story is. It doesn't really matter. The fact that we're getting a Star Wars game from them, the fact that the pedigree of the studio behind it, even though they haven't made a game like this, they're normally making, either the Call of Duty Modern Warfare series or Titanfall, so their strength is first-person shooter. I feel like they're going to absolutely nail this game, and EA really needs a hit as they have been struggling lately, so I can see this game being absolute fire. And obviously, it's a little bit higher up here because of the pedigree of the studio and because it's Star Wars. Can't wait to see what they have cooked up here. That brings us to number 2. And what do we have here? Resident Evil 2 Remake. Oh my god, I am so excited to play this game. Ever since it was revealed that they were making it, I was like, yeah, sure. You know what? I'm down for a remake of Resident Evil 2. Why not? It's my favorite Resident Evil. But then the reveal happened at E3 this past year, and oh my god, every single piece of media I have consumed for Resident Evil 2 just makes me more excited for it and more excited for it. I honestly think when I get my hands on this game on January 24th, another game coming like in a month, that this game I can already tell is going to be in my top 5 games of next year. I already know it. That's how good the game looks just from all the media released. Oh man, I cannot wait to get my hands on Resident Evil 2. It's going to be such a great game to open up 2019 with. Well, that brings us to my most anticipated title for 2019, and if you guys have been following me for some time, you probably already know what it is, and that is Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which comes out sometime next year after E3, presumably. Look, I have a deep love of Ori and the Blind Forest. It was the game that I used to hit a million gamer score at E3 2016 on stage with Phil Spencer and Mike Ibarra. It's a game that I absolutely adore and have a connection with. And it's a game that I also feel was almost perfect. One of the most perfect games you could possibly play. So the fact that we have a sequel coming this year to Ori and the Blind Forest, it had to have been number 1. The only game that could potentially unseat it is Last of Us Part 2 or Cyberpunk 2077. But those two games, they don't have dates yet. So because of that, Ori and the Will of the Wisps takes the #1 crown. It is my most anticipated game for 2019. But that's just my list. Let me know in the comments below, what are your most anticipated? What is your list? I want to go through and read everybody's comments. I want to see what you guys are anticipating. And I'm sure I left a few games off here. And they're like, wait a minute, Rand, what about Crackdown 3? What about Days Gone? Well, they're not on the list because they fell out of the top 15. But anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, share it out on Twitter and Facebook. I'd appreciate that. If it was your first time here, hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell right next to it if you always want to be notified when I drop new content. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll see everybody in the next video. Later, guys.